Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's Eagle Talks Football. We're back again with another video. This is going to be just a quick little match preview, talking about the North London Derby. And I'm going to talk to Henry Wright TV. My guy Henry is going to be coming on, giving us a little breakdown of what's going on with Tottenham. And we're going to talk about what's going on with Arsenal, kind of get an understanding of what team we might see playing on the day, in addition to everything else around the game. So Henry's going to be joining us right now. But before we do that, do me a favor. The link to his channel is in the title of the video. Go do subscribe to him. And of course, if you haven't already subscribed to Eagle Talks Football, please do that right now and hit a like on the video. If you're watching on the playback, let me know your score predictions right now in the comment section if you've gotten to this point of the video. I want to see a bunch of score predictions in the chat. And the winner who gets the correct prediction, you might get a little something. But yeah, let's get it started. We got Henry in the building. Henry, how you doing, man?
Yeah, good. Just jumped off the terrace with you. Not looking forward to this game, I'm going to be honest, but it's massive. Look, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
No worries. First time on the channel for you, honestly. First time we worked together like this consecutively. And you know what? For the longest time, I've known you, but we never really worked together.
It's weird so like that, isn't it?
Nice to have you. It's nice to have you on the channel. And just tell me a little story before we go any further into the Tottenham thing. How did you become a Tottenham fan?
I get asked this, all the time. Like, it's not whenever, because I'm seem to be the only Tottenham fan in the area I live in. Everyone's a West Ham or Arsenal. Basically, my first game was 2000, and I was 5, so 2001. Maybe even before that, I went with my granddad and then my uncle and my mum, and then it just kind of comes down through family. It's just ironic that, my name is Henry Wright, 2 Arsenal legends, and I am a Spurs fan. I get that all the time, but yeah, just kind of going through family. Went a lot young when I was very, very young. I was going every weekend, sometimes away as well, and then just kind of just following players, getting the kits like every fan, I guess. And yeah, now I'm just been to quite a few away games this season. Not had a great time away from home, I'm not going to lie to you. I think the only away game I've seen us win is Forest. But yeah, North London Derby, it's massive. Like, it's the biggest game for your season. For us, it's about, can we get a result? That's the way I'm looking at it.
Facts. And just before we go any further, do me a favor, guys, in the chat. If you have any questions, let me know. We'll speak about it also. Big up to the people in the chat. We see Minerals FC in the building. We see Raz in the house. We see some other people saying big up Henry. Few fans actually tolerate. Oh yeah, he's you guys see his videos. He's quite balanced with his views on Arsenal. He's not one of these guys who hates. He gives credit where credit's due. So that's one thing I like about you, Henry. And you know what? I never thought about that. You have Ian Wright's name in your last name, and you have Thierry Henry's name as your first name.
Yeah.
So it's like 2 Arsenal legends right there. I never thought about that until you mentioned it. That's interesting. But let's get into this game, because that game is just as equally interesting. I don't think a lot of people have an idea how Tottenham are going to set up, and you do have some injuries. So just talk us through some of the injuries and how you think Tottenham might set up versus Arsenal in this game.
Yeah, so obviously last week, it might have even been earlier this week, there was the big news about Destiny Udogie. He's got to have surgery, so he'll miss the remainder of the season and, unfortunately for him, the Euros. When I look at that potential position, left back, obviously Bukayo Saka, one of the best wingers in world football, coming up against us. Destiny Udogie, I thought, dealt with Bukayo Saka relatively well at the Emirates. I think he was booked early on as well, and he put in a good performance. And he's done well in a lot of the big games as well. He's done well against Mohamed Salah. He did relatively well against Chelsea until he got sent off. There's a doubt for Pedro Porro, but apparently he's trained as well as Richarlison, so they're both apparently going to be in the game. For us, it's about keeping our shape. I look at Arsenal right now. I think they go into the game with a massive advantage, not only because they're top of the league, but the fact that I said this to you on the terrace, we haven't had a game since I think the 12th of April, and it's now, by the time we play, that will be 16 days, or it might be the 13th of April, 16 days. Yeah. In that time, you've lost to Bayern Munich, you've lost to Villa, you've bounced back and you've beaten the likes of Chelsea very convincingly. You've put in a professional performance against Wolves. For us, it's about keeping our shape and just sticking to the game plan. Form goes out of the window this sort of game. I do think in terms of the setup, I can see him playing Ben Davies left back, but I don't think he will invert and push forward like Destiny Udogie does, purely because I don't think he's got the pace to get up and down. I personally, I said this to you on the terrace, I would go Van de Ven and potentially in possession go to a back 3 and have Van de Ven, Romero, and Dragusin, and then having Porro invert quite highly. But I think he will play Ben Davis and then go Ben Davis, Romero, and Van de Ven. But Dragusin for me is key because you're the strongest team in the league from set pieces, defensively and offensively. You scored 20 goals in the league, which is a quarter of your goals from set pieces. We are one of the worst teams in the league at defending them. I just think we don't man mark properly. We do zonal marking. The goalkeeper looks quite shy on the near post. If Dragusin's in there, I don't think any of your defenders beat him from going forward. Beat him in the air. I don't think Havertz beats him in the air.
Let's just dial it back for a second. So Spurs' weakness is set pieces, you're saying?
Yeah, like defending set pieces, we are very bad.
So how do you guys approach defending set pieces? Do you get mostly? I've seen majority of the times that you guys get beat. They literally whip the ball into the middle of the box, and somebody gets a clear header on it. Does nobody come and claim the ball? Does the goalkeeper not come and claim the ball? Is it your defenders are more stagnant, or do you guys leave a lot of space in the middle?
Yeah, it's leaving a lot of space. Like whenever I don't know if you saw the set piece against Newcastle. A lot of our defenders were actually in our 6-yard box, and there was so much space for the likes of Dan Burn, Isak, Gomares that were there to just have a free header. Like we need to actually man mark Arsenal. You're a very good team from set pieces. Players like Gabriel is someone we need to mark out of the box. Like if he's a free man, then 9 times out of 10 he's putting it in the back of the net. And I think having someone like Dragusin in there, you know, if you look at his numbers aerially, he's absolutely fantastic. I think he gives us that little bit of insurance and a bit more security defending set pieces. So yeah, that's for me one of the weaknesses we're going to have, as well as going forward. We don't score many goals from set pieces either. Like if you look at set pieces as a whole, we've only been awarded 1 penalty this season, which was in the first game of the season against Brentford. I don't remember the last time we scored from a corner, and I don't think we're that dangerous from free kicks because we don't have centre-backs that are dominant in the air. We've got ball-playing centre-backs. Like Romero's fantastic on the ball, but he's not great in the air. So that's for me is a big weakness up against Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal do have a really good set piece threat, but we haven't scored many set piece goals. The thing about Arsenal is we were scoring a lot of set piece goals because we had a lot of time to train to drill these players in. But if you want to count Ben White's goal versus Chelsea as a set piece goal, then you can maybe take that one. But majority of our goals lately have been in open play because I just feel like they haven't been able to drill them and get the opportunity to actually look at it because there's been so much footage and like there's so much of a hoopla on Match of the Day and everybody else. You see how we kind of approach our set pieces. By now, if you can't stop our set pieces and kind of figure out what we do, then maybe you're just not, some of these clubs are maybe just not doing their due diligence enough. At the beginning, it was crazy because almost all of our goals were coming from set pieces. Now it's slowed down massively. So hey, maybe we're due one versus Tottenham. You never know. I thought Chelsea, we could have got them from set pieces, but they left the short play. They let us play it short and have nobody marking Declan Rice. Declan Rice was just wide open to play the short corner to the whole game. So eventually, when we played it to him, we got a goal from it. So
he's a good set piece taker as well. Like he puts it right on the money 9 out of 10 times. And that for
Bukayo
me,
Saka is on the right, Declan Rice is on the left. So if we get a corner from the left, it's going to be Declan Rice whipping it in. But let me just go back to something you said earlier on the football terrace. Weaknesses. Would you consider your defense is the strength this season, obviously, but your midfield is the weakness? Because in my opinion, your midfield, you haven't figured out what you're going to do. It looked like earlier in the season, your midfield was one of your strengths because Bissouma was playing well, Sarr was looking good, and Maddison was looking good. But they've all kind of gone off form, and you wouldn't even start 2 out of the 3 that I just named.
Yeah, do you know what as well? With the defense, just quickly speaking on that, in terms of personnel, if you look at it on paper of Udogie and Porro, that's a very good fullback pairing. And Romero and Van de Ven, but I think we've kept 3 clean sheets since December, which in terms of, you've kept more clean sheets this month. So like we just don't concede a lot. When we do concede, it's like 4-0, 4-0, 4-2, 4-1. The midfield though, yeah, the beginning of the season, we had, before Maddison's injury, he was unbelievable. First 10 games, people were talking about us being in a title race. You had the balance. Bentancur was still out, but Bissouma was playing very well in the 6 role. Sarr's engine to be able to get up and down was brilliant. And then all of a sudden, the Asian Cup and the African Cup of Nations just kind of ruined absolutely everything. It was our form. Son went off for a month. Bissouma and Sarr went off. And then Højbjerg did well. Bentancur then got injured again. It's been stop-start for the whole season. I think the midfield we've got to play against you. I think Højbjerg's got to play in the 6. And a lot of people will turn their nose up at that. But he's played in North London derbies before. He's got that experience. And he's very organised. Like, he's not the sort of player you want to play against in the derby, because he will just, like I said to you on the terrace, he'll let you know where you are in the first 5 minutes and let you know you're in a derby. I don't look at Bissouma and Sarr. Like, if you look at their performance against, in the win we had against Nottingham Forest, Bentancur and Højbjerg were brilliant, but in the game before that, Bissouma and Sarr were awful. So we're just consistently inconsistent, and we need to find the perfect balance. But I think the perfect balance is just bring new bodies in. Like, our midfielders are good technically, but they're all too similar. Like, Sarr, Bissouma, Højbjerg, Skip, and Bentancur are all very similar players in terms of their personnel, in terms of their technical abilities. And then you look at the attacking side of the midfield, we've only really got Maddison and Lo Celso, whereas you've got Vieira, you've got Rice, you've got Odegaard, you've got Jorginho, who's good in the final third. We're not really blessed with those sort of options. We've just got a lot of defensive-minded players. But
okay,
yeah,
I was just gonna look at what they had as a prediction for your team. So far you've given us your back four. You think it's going to be Ben Davies is going to be playing, but you would have played Dragusin. In your midfield, you said you're going to play Højbjerg.
I play Dragusin centre back and Van de Ven left back. That's what I play.
And your midfield, you would play Højbjerg, Maddison, and Bentancur. So you don't think Sarr or Bissouma would get into this game? And do you think you have enough legs in the midfield if you play that midfield?
I think that Bentancur's got the legs. I don't think Højbjerg has got the legs to play the full 90 in this sort of system, in this game. Like, because it's going to be very, very end-to-end. What I will say is, though, in the 60th minute, if Højbjerg starts fading from, like, constant press and working in the game, you have got Bissouma and Bentancur to bring on. I'd rather be in a position where we're bringing on those than bringing on Højbjerg, because in the last 25, 30 minutes of the game is where we score all of our goals. I think only Arsenal and Liverpool have scored more goals in the last 15, 20 minutes than us. So bringing on more energy in Bissouma and Sarr, I think for me, is where I'd go. I'd rather start with Højbjerg, to be honest.
Who started against Newcastle? It was Bissouma, and so Bissouma's just been off form. So I get why you don't want him to play.
He hasn't been great since December. None of our midfielders have. Maddison's fallen off. Like, if you look at him, I don't think he's got a goal. I think he's got the last goal I think he got was last year. Giovanni Lo Celso doesn't get a start.
Maddison's last goal was against Aston Villa.
Before that one, though, sorry. Before that was the 4-0 win where he scored, I think, in the second half. Before that, I don't remember the last goal he scored.
Yeah, you're right.
I think he scored the second goal when we went. No, sorry, he scored the first
Fulham.
Which was when?
That was in October.
Yeah, see, admittedly he was injured till January, but we're not going into the North London derby in form, and I understand form goes out the window, but right now Arsenal, you've got to fancy this, surely. Like, I don't think there's any pressure on Tottenham. Yeah,
ask me any questions you got. Personally, going through your strengths and weaknesses, I feel like the only weakness that we would have is if the pressure gets to us. Because of the title race and the situation that we're in, our strength is our defense. Our strength is how good our midfield has been. Our weakness is actually we're not clinical. We don't finish our dinner. We don't take opportunities when those opportunities are there. But we create enough chances where eventually we might still punish you. My backline is staying the same. The only change is maybe Tomiyasu or KVR, depending on if Tomiyasu is available and fit. If Tomiyasu's fit, I would play Tomiyasu. But even though, do you think you guys are going to be punishing our wingers? Would your wingers be punishing our right back? Or our left back?
I think
I don't know who's going to be playing.
I'd rather you play Kivior or Zinchenko than Tomiyasu, because I think Tomiyasu
not starting.
Yeah, well, I'd rather you play Kivior. I think Tomiyasu is better 1v1 defending than Kivior. I think Kivior has done well when he's come in. I think he's surprised a lot of people, because that left back's a position where a lot of Arsenal fans want to change, and I think Timber potentially could play that role, or maybe go and get another left back. But Tomiyasu, for me, in 1v1 situations, is very strong. And he's got the ability to get up and down. He can invert quite well. He got into quite a few attacking positions against Chelsea. But also on the defensive side, like he's very good. And at the moment, Ben White is probably the best fullback in the league when it comes to overlapping. He's fantastic at timing that run, putting the ball in the box. So I think it's going to sound weird, but I think we're going to have better joy attacking your centre backs than your fullbacks. Because I think if Richarlison plays, one of them will get booked 1,000,000%.
Is Richarlison going to be fit?
Well, he's trained yesterday and today, so I think he will play. I think he's the sort of player that he's a confidence player. And if we start the game well, and there's a couple of big tackles in the first 15, 20 minutes, and you haven't scored by then, he kind of grows in the game. He's not a moments player. He can't just pick up the ball and run 20, 30 yards of it.
But you know what the problem is? Before, you would have been going at a guy like Jorginho, and Rice would have been playing in the midfield. Now Partey's back. That's where it's scary. The guy who was considered one of the best DMs hasn't played for Arsenal all season, and we're still top of the league. And he's coming back in this massive game, and he's going to be fully fit, ready to go. And I think our midfield with Partey, Declan Rice, and Odegaard, that you can't really get at our middle. You can't really get at Saliba and Gabriel, because the shield that's in front of them is just so impenetrable at times.
Yeah, it's the perfect balance. You know, when Partey can sit, Rice can press forward, and I think he's actually Rice's best position is in that 8 role, like when he's contributing in the final third. And the way Odegaard's playing right now, it's like at the moment he's probably one of the most informed players in the league, if not in Europe. The guy's ridiculous. But
let me show you what my team would be. This is what my team would be for Arsenal. I would have Raya, Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Havertz, and Leandro Trossard. I think Leandro Trossard this season has been outstanding form.
That's the same 11 against Chelsea, isn't it?
No, it is slightly different. I thought
no, it's the exact same 11.
Oh, KVR. I thought KVR played. My bad. So yeah, it's the exact same 11 then.
Yeah, like I think that's your best team. What I will say is that Tottenham this game will be claiming every free kick, and they'll try and frustrate Arsenal as much as they can. What you said in terms of the pressure, I think you're spot on. I think you're absolutely spot on. If Arsenal all of a sudden, somehow go a goal behind or miss a few chances, the pressure will mount on Arsenal big time, especially if City win tonight. That game is massive. If they drop points, City, it almost adds more pressure on Arsenal going into this weekend. But I don't think there's any pressure on Spurs. We're 6 points away from Villa. The likelihood is we're not going to get top 4. I think Newcastle and Man United are too far behind for us to worry about them overtaking us. It's kind of
you're not that. Come on, bro. You're not that far off. You could obviously I don't want you guys to get Champions League football, but I'm not somebody who.
You look at our games you've got to play, guys. We've still got to play City, Liverpool, Chelsea away, and you.
Oh, bro, it's not that far though. 6 points is not ridiculous.
Yeah, but we'd have to beat Arsenal, Liverpool, and City.
You have 2 games in hand.
I know, and our games in hand are Chelsea away, which we've won once in 28 years, and Manchester City, who are, by the time we play City, the title could be over. So,
that's crazy.
I'm not. Look at our form. Look at our form.
There's
2 wins.
Surely there's people in your fan base that are still optimistic you can get top 4.
Oh yeah, we're optimistic because we've got a very good record at home in the last 10 years against you. You've only won there once in the last 10, 11 years.
But, no, I'm not talking about you beating us. I'm talking about you beating City and Liverpool.
Oh yeah, because there'll probably be an optimism, but I think a lot of Spurs fans, if you're still there 37, 38 games, would want us to be frankly to lose that game. But if you look at our form, like we've won 2 of the last 5 games. Look how inconsistent we are. And look at the defeats as well. We lost 3-0 to Fulham and we lost 4-0 to Newcastle.
And you drew 1-1 to West Ham.
And then we managed to beat Aston Villa before the Fulham game. We're so inconsistent. I don't want to say it's a free hit because that's not the way I roll, and it's the derby.
And look at this. Considering that Man City are still undefeated, Arsenal having that 1 loss doesn't look as bad compared to Liverpool and
look
City.
At Liverpool, yeah.
Yeah, Liverpool are falling down a cliff. That's terrible.
Chelsea are in better form than we are.
No way. Chelsea,
yeah, they've won 2 and drawn 2. Yeah,
No,
other
Chelsea
than
are
that,
worst form.
no, 2 wins and 2 draws. We've had 2 losses, 2 wins and a draw. They're in better form than us.
Oh wow, never thought
Like
about that.
we're just too inconsistent, bro. Like
Are you
it's
worried about Man United?
nah.
They have easy fixtures.
They've still got to play you though. I think Arsenal will beat them, and by
Yeah.
then we've got to play Sheffield United and Burnley, which they'll both be down, and we'll beat both of them.
Okay, fair enough. The golfing quality this season, though, between us two, I'm going into this game very confident. I'm not being cocky. I'm not being arrogant or anything like that. I just think our defense is so good. Just look at how many goals we've conceded this season. We barely concede goals. Away from home, our record is actually much better also. If you look at our fixtures, how we've done away from home the last couple of games, like I think we haven't conceded a single goal in 6 games away from home. And I know we're going to your ground, and the North London Derby is always a cagey affair, but I can't help but think the performance that we had last season and how well we played last season, and a lot of these players being similar from the season prior, we've kind of broken that curse of playing away at Tottenham. But you guys have that confidence because you're coming to our ground, because we're coming to your ground, don't you?
Yeah, it's almost like, as I said a minute ago, there's not a huge amount of pressure on Tottenham, but there is no football club in the world that would love to ruin your title race more than us. Like we'd celebrate that as if we've just won the League Cup. Like because if you get a draw against us, I think I don't
You're
see
done.
I don't see you going. But it's almost like with Arsenal, it's you're praying for City to drop points, but because if they just draw one game, it opens the door up for you to just walk straight through. But I think this is going to be Arteta's most pressurized game he's had to manage probably in his career because
Talk to me about Arteta. And 1 second, let me just pull up the picture. Pull up a picture of Arteta while we do this, because I feel like Arteta gets a bad rap from rival fans, and I feel like you're a very balanced guy. I see you do a lot of videos speaking about Arsenal. I don't think you got the same agenda that a lot of Spurs fans have. So give me your honest opinion on Mikel Arteta as a manager, and just what you thought about his job and what he's been doing at Arsenal since he's come in.
the first 2 years, I think you had your lowest finish in Premier League history. I think 8th twice. He's turned the squad around. He's got rid of so many players and brought through a lot of young players. I think the 11 you've got now, every one of those players are his signings. You know, he's put you in contention back in for a title race. What I will say is the year you were in the Champions League race of us, that taught me a lot about Arteta because yes, you bottled top 4, and you can call it a bottle because you were a few points above, and the performance you put in against us, you capitulated. However, the following year, I don't think anyone thought you'd be in a title race. I certainly didn't. You then took it up a notch, went in the title race. Yes, you wobbled and you fell off, but you've then gone again and you've improved. Your numbers are up from last year. Your points are up from last year, and you've competed in the Champions League. I do think, my honest opinion is, I do think you do need to do more in the domestic competitions. I think you do need to be better in the FA Cups and the League Cups because that's what separates Guardiola apart. He's won 4 of those at League Cups and an FA Cup, 2 FA Cups while winning league titles. If you want to be where City are, you don't just take one competition seriously. This season, though, I've been impressed with Arteta. I'll take my Tottenham hat off. I think he's done very well. I don't think he deserves a lot of the stick he gets from rival fans because
Even
you're
our own fan base.
yeah, you're in a title race. Like you're in a title race for this. He's been there 4 years, which means 50%. I think Deo said this the other day. 50% of his reign, you've been in title races. You just need to win more than the FA Cup. Like next
4 full
season,
seasons, yeah.
if you don't win the league this year, I think next year is the year where he's got to win something or it's bust.
I agree. I think I think we're gonna win this year, to be fair. But if we don't win this season, I think next season is like his last go at it. And I think all he needs to do is maybe picks up the attack. Guys, we have the most goals scored. And how do we have so many of you guys and you haven't hit the like button? Guys, we have almost 70 of you guys watching on here. We have over another 200 people watching on X. Come join us on YouTube, obviously, if you're watching from X. But the people on YouTube right now, do me a favor, hit that like button. It's absolutely free. And let me know what you guys have to say. Somebody asked the question earlier, and I'm just gonna talk about this quickly before we go to Ange Postecoglou. Bissouma, what happened to Bissouma? He fell off a cliff. In my opinion, he was being overrated earlier in the season because he was in good form, and statistically, he was looking like one of the better players in the league. You had guys like Staffy saying he's better than Declan Rice. You had Tottenham fans telling me he's the best dribbler, he's the best this, he's better than everyone except for Rodri. And I'm like, hold on. We haven't seen enough of it. Why couldn't he play under Conte? And is it now you're starting to see why Conte didn't want to play him?
Conte was very different because he played a two-man midfield, and when he was under Potter at Brighton, he was in a three with, I think it was Pascal Gross and McAllister, or it might have even been Pascal Gross and Adam Lallana. He played in a three where he was the box-to-box 8, but could also play the 6. When he comes to Conte never really plays with a three-man midfield, and we only got to see the three-man midfield of Højbjerg, Giovanni Lo Celso, and Bissouma. I think 3 times in Conte's reign we got to saw that. However, he's coming to a possession-based team in Postecoglou. In the first 10 games, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. I thought he was unbelievable. He's technically sound. You can't press him because he just turns his way out of it. He's got traits of his game in Moussa Dembele in terms of the way he glides through players. However, since December, the AFCON Cup, he's been sent off twice. He's fallen off a cliff. 1 minute, he's absolutely brilliant. Then he goes missing for 5 or 6 games. Tottenham need an out-and-out number 6. The person who fits our system the most is Paulina from Fulham, but they're going to want 100 million, so we're not going to do that. But Bissouma for me...
You should, though.
We should, but if Tottenham want to be serious, we don't just need a DM. We need another fullback who can play both left and right, similar to what you've done with Timber. We need another centre-back. We need an attacking midfield player, and we need 2 forwards. That's what we need to sign to be where you are right now. And then you're probably looking at £300 million. Tottenham are not going to do that in one window. So we've got to kind of stick by Bissouma and just hope that he improves. He has showed glimpses. I wasn't impressed with him against Newcastle, though. He looked a shadow of the player we've seen. And when we signed him from Brighton, you guys were linked to him. Your fan base was disappointed because
I was distraught when you guys signed him.
He's got all of the technical attributes to be a top player. I just think he needs a manager to put his arm around him, kind of similar to the way that Ben White has.
And Havertz.
Yeah, and Kai Havertz. Arteta's turned these players into successful players at Arsenal. Like when Arsenal signed Ben White, they were like £50 million. The first year, had a few wobbles, made a few mistakes. You put your arm around him, and now he's up there with Kyle Walker, the best 2 right-backs in the league. Like, I think that's what Bissouma needs. I think he needs someone to put his arm around him and just say, look, there's a player in there. We just need to get it out. It's the same with Richarlison. Like, Richarlison at Everton scored, I think his best goal season was 14, and 6 of those were penalties. This season for Tottenham, I think he's got 10 or 11 league goals, and he's missed 3 months. Like, he's another player that's a confidence player. So
I got a bunch of people I want to talk about. So we're gonna go quick fire through them. First, honestly, Havertz. I need to get the image. Where is it? I literally saved it. Okay, here it is. So Kai Havertz, bro. When we first signed Kai Havertz, a lot of people were saying 65 million, a lot of money, crazy. But right now, it's looking like a good deal. It's looking like he's living up to the billing. If everyone said this is the kind of signing that will make you lose the league, this is the kind of signing that could potentially win us the league. The output that he's produced. What do you think of Kai Havertz, man?
It's not just his output. It's what he runs off the ball. He's dragging players out of positions. His work ethic. The fact that he can go into the midfield, play anywhere along the front 3. He's played multiple positions. I think the first 7 games, I'm not going to lie, I was ripping into this guy. And I think most fans were, because he was 0-7 or something. And then all of a sudden, I think he took a penalty against, it might have been Brentford. He took a penalty. Bournemouth, that was it. He took a penalty, and all of a sudden, it kind of gave him the confidence. And now he's like Arteta's, he's almost like
most informed player.
He's like Arteta's secret weapon. Like, by the way, the pass from Odegaard into Kai Havertz.
We're going to talk about Odegaard in a second. Just
like Kai Havertz for me, like, I don't think he's been a success to the price tag yet, but I think in the next 6 months, if he keeps contributing, then it's well worth the money.
Okay. We got to talk about that guy. I think Martin Odegaard is majestic. The way that he plays, Real Madrid gave us an absolute gem. This guy, he's our captain, and you see leadership qualities in him. Before, people said he didn't have leadership qualities, but I definitely do see the leadership qualities in him. The weight of pass, the ability that he has. This is the guy who could tear you guys apart. This is the guy who you need to stop. How are you going to stop Martin Odegaard? And also, what do you think of Martin Odegaard?
Right, he's class player. Just oozes source. He's oozes ability. His weight of pass, his decision making, the way he can manipulate the ball in tight spaces, drag players out of positions, play the ball into the danger areas. The way you stop him is you foul him. Like Martin Odegaard this season hasn't been brilliant against Man City in the Premier League because they take him out. Like Rodri hits on him early. The problem we've got is we don't have anyone in our team that can mark players out of games. Whereas, man, you've got a player like Declan Rice can single-handedly mark players out of games. We need to stay touch tight to Odegaard and not allow him any space. If you allow him space, it's going to be a long, long night. But I think you need to kind of, like I said to you earlier on the terrace, it's a derby. You need to let Odegaard know it's a derby. He's the captain, right? He's going to be the one rallying the troops, sending out the message before the game. He's going to be the one in the dressing room hyping the players up. He's going to be the one giving instructions. You need to let Odegaard know in the first 10 minutes of the game that it's a derby match and just stay like I'm not saying go and injure him because I don't agree with that, but just maybe go in with a bit harder of a tackle than you normally would. Like what Vieira and Keane used to do years ago. You'd let the player know it's a derby.
Let them know. Bukayo Saka let Udogie know what the North London derby is about in his first couple of minutes. He got him quickly booked, but then later on we kind of let him off the hook because he didn't attack him too much. But Bukayo Saka, quality player. I know you probably rate Bukayo Saka, but when it comes down to it, this guy, he is getting ridiculous amount of criticism. I think it's ridiculous the amount of criticism he gets from rivals and everything else. It just shows how good of a player he is. People always comparing him to Foden, people comparing him to Cole Palmer, people comparing him to even players across Europe like Rodrigo, Vini. I see it all the time. Bukayo Saka is just one of our best players. And this game, he always turns up against you guys. I wouldn't be surprised if he popped up with a goal after not having a goal in a couple games. I think his last goal was against, who was it against? Was it West Ham?
The game before that. The game before Wolves. No, the game before Villa, he scored in.
Against Bayern, he scored.
Yeah.
What am I talking about? Yeah.
I think with Bukayo Saka, though, like, I think he needs a rest. Like, I'll be the first person to say he looks knackered.
I agree.
But the problem you've got is you can't give him a rest because you're in a title race. Not only that, if he carries on playing at the level of games he is, it's going to damage his potential hopes for England. Because if you've got Cole Palmer and you've got Bukayo Saka and Palmer's played 20 less games, right, than Saka, or 15 less games, and you've got Foden who's fitter, it's going to damage his England hopes. I can see a game where if you're winning this game, Bukayo Saka comes off and more defensive-minded player comes on. Like in that Chelsea game, I was amazed that Arteta made 4 substitutions before Saka went off. I think he needs to play like or rest this game. If you beat us, I don't know who your next league game is after that. Let me show you who you've got.
We play Bournemouth.
Yeah, but Saka has to be rested for Bournemouth. Like
I agree.
When one door closes, another door opens. Like you're at the Emirates, Reece Nelson could quite easily come in and do a job. Trossard could play on the right. You know,
but you have to remember we're in a title race, so we might not be able to actually rest any. We might not be able to ever bench Saka for the rest of the season.
If you win convincingly against us, though, I think you're quite easy going to beat Bournemouth, and you could beat Bournemouth without Saka.
But bro, we're in a title race. Do we really want to rest Saka any games?
Well, it's like Man City. Man City, by hook or crook, have had to rest Haaland.
They've had to take him out because he's injured.
Yeah, injuries, fitness. They've had to rotate Kevin De Bruyne. Like eventually, you need to get used to seeing occasionally Bukayo Saka on the bench because the guy can't play 60 games a season at the moment. The guy's not even 24 and he's already at like 150 Arsenal appearances. Like this is what happens to Rooney. When Rooney got to like 28, 29, he had already played like 350 games for Man United. Like these players, like they just burn. It's a game every 4 days. It was just, plus international competitions. I think Saka this season, by the end of the season, would have played close to 50 games. Like that takes its toll.
I think he's close to that right now, to be fair. Definitely is. Let me just check 1 second. Bukayo Saka this season, 44 games. So yeah.
Is that not including the England games?
That's not including England, no.
So there's probably another 3 or 4 England games in there.
Yeah, probably. So that means he's definitely already close to the 50 mark. But you know what's impressive about Saka this season? The amount of GA that he's produced. He's almost about to 2 more goals, and he's on 20 goals for the season. He's already has 14 assists. That's 9 assists in the league, 14 goals in the league. He has 4 goals in the Champions League, 4 assists in the Champions League. And I'm not even including what he's done for England. So Bukayo Saka this season, man, he has been outstanding. But the level of criticism he gets is because now people want to see him perform throughout the whole 90 minutes. Because there's games where he doesn't necessarily play well for the whole 90, but 10 minutes, he'll just get you a goal. 5 minutes, get you a goal. We don't have
to play well to contribute. Like he doesn't have to have a good game to be on the score sheet.
Do you play FPL? It's like you want him in your FPL team, even though you know he's not really
I was thinking about taking him out this weekend for Bruno Fernandes because Bruno's in fantastic form. But I look at Bukayo Saka and his record against us. I think he's got a goal or an assist in practically every game he's played.
Talking about goals and assists, I think that's a good transition to the next guy that we need to talk about. Your main man, Son. Your main man, Son. He always seems to somehow pop up with something for you guys. And I just think in these kind of games, he's made for these games. He's the only player you have that's of the caliber that's like you could say is above everyone else in your team. Like
I think he should be the only player that kind of makes Arsenal fans a little bit uneased because of his record against you. He's like it's similar to like the Drogba record against Arsenal. Like we could be like 2-0 down or something, but he'd still contribute something. And he's captain now. He's got to be up. We have got to be up for this game. 16 days without a game. If we go in and we could quite easily be 2-0 down in 20 minutes. Like we've got to be on it. We have to. Like everyone's got to know their role. Everyone's got to stick to their job, and he's going to be responsible for the majority of that because you're captain now. I'm not necessarily completely confident in his captain ability. I wasn't necessarily confident in Lloris either. I always think it should be a midfielder personally, but he's captain. We'll have to stick by that. But he's got to deliver now. He hasn't been in great form the last few weeks. I think he got on a goal and assist against Villa. It was absolutely toothless against Newcastle and Fulham. So the majority of our players should be fully fit and ready to go. So we've just got to hope that he delivers now. Like I remember a few years ago during COVID, he scored an absolute worldie against Ramsdale. That's the sort of performance I want to see again. Like just go for it and be a threat.
Personally, I just don't think he's a good finisher, but outside of that, he doesn't build up the play for you guys. He doesn't link up the play for you guys. So if he's playing as striker with Gabriel Magalhaes and Saliba there, unless you guys do what you did last time and you play a ball in behind right in front of goal where he can tap it in.
I think you'll find the left. I think Richarlison goes up front.
Oh, really? Yeah, because I was thinking if he's striker, I'm not going to be as concerned. I may be more concerned as him being left back. But now, finally going to your manager, I want to talk about your manager's tactics quickly. I feel like Ange Postecoglou, he is very stern and sticks to his principles, doesn't change for nothing. And it's a situation where it can cost you sometimes. And against Arsenal, I feel like if he stays too much on this high line, we're doing it our way, we're not caring about the opponent, it could come off and it could really hurt you guys. Because it could be a situation where we score an early goal, you guys continue to play your high line, we just play defensive and we pick you up for a second and the game done. It doesn't necessarily have to be a situation where we need to go at you for the whole 90 minutes. And you guys are susceptible defensively. And I put it down to his tactics. I think there's been many games this season where you could have done something to make yourself a little bit more pragmatic to win the game and see out the rest of the game. But it's almost like he doesn't want to see out the games differently than how he starts it. He wants to start a game a certain way and finish it in a certain way. Where Mikel Arteta, he doesn't care. He will adapt to the opponent, where I don't see that from Ange.
No, I do want to see more of a plan B. Like the rock and roll football is great, and inverting the fullbacks is great when it works. Ange Ball is probably one of the most exciting pieces of football to watch in the league because you just never know what Tottenham's going to turn up. And when we get it right against Aston Villa, we were phenomenal that second half. Like to score 4 goals in one half against your rivals for top 4, absolutely brilliant. Like we were on point. But there's been other games where we've looked tactically naive against Fulham, just outclassed, couldn't deal with a counter attack. Muniz, Pereira, Robinson tore us to shreds on the counter. Against Newcastle, did the same. Isak, Anthony, and that's where I fear this game is going to go. I don't think Arsenal come to Tottenham and dominate the ball. I think they just bide their time and counter. And you look at the form of Trossard's in, Havertz holding up the ball, Saka. It wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal come out of this game with like 40% of the ball, but score 3 goals. Because we're too unpredictable. But then on the other hand, Tottenham could score. We could score 3 goals ourselves. Like we've taken we've taken some batterings this season. We've conceded 4 against Brighton, against Chelsea, against Newcastle. Like we're very, very, very unpredictable. But that's kind of going to be difficult for Arteta because you don't know what Tottenham's going to turn up. Whereas we know what you're going to do. We know you're going to press us from the front. We know your midfield is going to stay tight, organised. We know Rice is going to push forward. We know Ben White's going to make those runs. With Tottenham, it's just a big question mark. Like,
with that being said, what's your prediction?
I've got to back. I have to back Tottenham. I can't come on an Arsenal channel and say you're going to win. I am going to say Tottenham are going to win 2-1. But I'm going to caveat that and say it wouldn't surprise me if you win. It wouldn't surprise me.
So you're saying you're going to win, but you're not 100%.
No. I'm saying it. 100% Tottenham are going to win. Tottenham are going to win this game. We're going to win this game.
Are you going?
No, I'm not going. No, I'm not. The price of tickets are ludicrous.
Yeah, I can imagine, bro. The Bayern Munich game, they wanted like £300 for one ticket.
It's ridiculous. Like if you're taking yourself, let's say your wife and 2 children, you're looking at like £1,000 for a football match. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but I think Tottenham will win.
I don't know.
This game tonight though is massive. If Manchester City win, you have to go in and beat us. If Man City get a draw, it puts even more pressure on you to beat us as well. So
you know something? Regardless what Man City do today, we have to beat you.
Yeah, of course.
And a draw, a draw or a loss is as good as the league is done. So in my opinion, no matter what happens today, I'm going to Tottenham away, and I'm expecting this team to go into that game expecting to win. I don't think any. What?
Are you going to the game?
No. I mean, I'm going to be watching it, but I'm saying hypothetically going into the game, I expect my team to perform and I expect them to win. So I don't know. I think both teams are going to expect their team to win, but I just think the quality gap is so superior. We're so superior to you guys right now. I think it's going to show up, and we're going to show you guys that we have a better defense than last season. We have a better midfield than last season. We have a better attack than last season. And last season we beat maybe a weaker side, but I still think the superiority that we have over you guys, we're going to, this is how I think the game's going to go. I think it's going to be a situation where we give you the ball, we force you into errors high up the pitch, but this time we capitalize on that early. And then from there, we see out the game, maybe 35 minutes in, you guys are a little bit threatening for the next 35, 20 minutes. We see out the half, 1-0 first half, second half, you guys get tired. We hit you with a second, and dare I say it, if we get lucky, we can maybe hit you with a third. But I see us coming out of this game with a clean sheet minimum. If it's a draw and it's a clean sheet, it's a failure. Anything but a win, league done. And we cannot afford to have you guys end our season like Everton ended Liverpool's. But that would be your game.
Looking at Everton and looking at the way they performed yesterday against Liverpool, does that put any doubts in your mind that we could do a similar thing?
You guys don't play defensive football.
Yeah, true. But in terms of the result, like, do you think the way, because Everton were brilliant yesterday. Like both boxes in terms of the defending corners, attacking corners, the midfield battle, they were brilliant. Do you think Tottenham could do a similar job in terms of getting a result against you?
No, I don't believe Tottenham can stay resolute defensively long enough, especially with the style that Ange Postecoglou plays. I think if you guys change your tactics for this one-off game, I'd be more scared than if you guys play the way you usually play throughout the regular season.
Yeah,
And my score prediction is a 2-0 Arsenal victory. I originally had it at 3-0, but I've changed it. I just feel like I got to be more respectful. I don't think you guys we're gonna whoop you that bad.
All right, I'm gonna go 2-1 Spurs.
2-1 Spurs.
I just think there's no pressure on us.
Smash and grab.
Yeah. Oh, it's not gonna be a pretty. It's gonna be a horrendous. Like Vicario has to make like something like 8 or 9 saves, and you've got to miss your chances because you're brilliant at scoring it early. I think you've got a lot of goals in the first 20 minutes of games, and you're great at managing games as well. Like Arteta's in-game management is fairly good. However, if we score early, that means you have to come out and play against us, which is where we could potentially cause an upset.
It's gonna be interesting to see. Let me know, guys, what you guys think in the comment section. I'm seeing 6-0, 2-0, 4-1, 3-0 Arsenal. Obviously, they're all gonna be very gassed. Yeah, Brighton today, if they beat Man City, we gotta win. But yeah, honestly, Henry, I appreciate it. Thank you for jumping on. This has been a great video. Good 45 minutes, 47 minutes. Everyone now go enjoy the Man City Brighton game. Hopefully the Brighton guys do us a favor, and I appreciate it for coming on, Henry. And guys, don't forget to subscribe to his channel. The link is in the title of the video to go check it out. You have anything coming out soon that you want to tell people about?
I probably may do a video on the second channel tonight. Henry Talks Football. If Manchester City lose or draw, just because I think that would be a good conversation going into the weekend. But other than that, there'll be a Spurs video out tomorrow on the main channel.
You guys have yourselves a wonderful day. We're out of here, people. Love for the love, and thank you for watching. Peace.